Hello and welcome to St. Bona Shootaround, the only show at Bonaventure that's willing to challenge TJ Oshie to a shootout. We're your home for pregame coverage of Bonnie's home games. I'm your host, Chris Spiker, and I'm joined today by Ame Mukendi, a colleague of mine at SBU TV News. Thanks for joining us, Ame.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Tonight, the Bonnies host Duquesne, looking to avenge their January 25th loss on a buzzer beater in Pittsburgh. But first, the Bonnies visited A-10 newcomer George Mason last Saturday. The Bonnies and Patriots had 5 lead changes in the first half, but SBU held a 4-point lead going into the locker room. However, Matt Wright scored 19 of his team-high 24 points in the second half to put the game out of reach for Mason. With about 4 minutes to go and the shot clock winding down, Jordan Gathers drains a 3 from the Potomac River to seal the game. The Bonnies won 85-73, improving to 15-10 on the year and 5-6 in the A-10.
We took care of the basketball and we made our foul shots. And when we did that, we were hard to beat. We've lost 3 or 4 games at the foul line early in the season, but our guys, it's a credit to them.
Now the Bonnies also won at Fordham last Wednesday. The last 2 wins were the Bonnies' first A-10 road wins. It was also their first win away from the Riley Center since they won at Niagara on December 21st. So, how were the Bonnies able to win these last 2 road games, Ame?
Well, I think we were focused, practicing hard. After that loss, after our last loss, we realized that it was time to step up. Everybody focused in. We had to, with the A-10 on a week-to-week basis, standings can change with every win. So I think George Mason is a team that we knew we could beat. They're at the bottom of the A-10 at this moment. And guys came out and played well. Matt came out and played excellent. Jordan Gathers and Deion Wright came off the bench and provided a lot of energy, a lot of scoring for us. So everybody really stepped up and fulfilled the role. So that was a really good team win. It really brought us together because it was the first win away from the Riley Center in the A-10.
Yeah, and I saw a lot more ball movement on offense, particularly against Fordham, and I think that was key, is getting the offense back on track, having more movement on offense, getting more guys involved into the offense, because when you look back on like the Dayton game, for instance, there was just Kloof and Endoy just going off with 17 points each, but not a lot of other people getting involved in offense. And in addition, the outside shooting picked up, and unfortunately, it's just either a great night or a bad night in shooting, and that's the case for most teams in the country.
Well, definitely, basketball is always a make-and-miss league. And one of the other things, after the Dayton loss, me and Charlon spoke, had a long talk after the game, and we talked about how important it was for other guys to get involved in the offense, because especially in that Dayton game, we talked about when he went to the bench, for the most part, it seemed like the offense got stagnant, really couldn't move the ball around. There was we had a 5-second call on Gathers, and it seemed like we couldn't really generate much offense, but I think it was very important, especially for that to happen on the road with the business mindset for a guy like Jordan Gathers and players like Deion Wright, who really played well for us the whole season, and when they play well, we win more games. Yeah,
I was impressed with how Gathers bounced back against Mason, because he had gone through a bit of a rough stretch after having a bit of a strong start to A-10 play, so it was nice to see him get back and get his form back, and hopefully that continues as we get down into the end of February.
Without question, without question.
All right, so after a successful 2-game road trip, the Bonnies arrived back at the Riley Center to host conference rival Duquesne. The Bonnies lost 83-81 in Pittsburgh on January 25th after Duquesne's Derek Coulter sank a 3-pointer at the buzzer. But since they played the Bonnies, the Dukes are 2-4. They won at the New Jersey Institute of Technology on January 29th and at Rhode Island last Saturday. Micah Mace is an absolute sharpshooter from beyond the arc, leading the country in 3-point shooting percentage at 58.1%. Ovi Soko is the A-10's second best scorer with 18.1 points per game. As a team, Duquesne allows the second most points in the conference. They also have the A-10's worst field goal and 3-point defense. However, the Dukes do have the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the conference. The Brown and White are trying to reach 500 in conference for the first time since January 11th. How do you think the Dukes match up with the Bonnies the second time around, Ame?
I think we're going to win by at least 10. When I look at that first game, Yusu fouled out, Marquise fouled out, Deion Wright fouled out, not to mention that their best player, Soko, went for 27 on us. And like you just said, Mason is leading the country in 3-point shooting, was 5 for 6 in that game. And that was a heartbreaker. And that was one of those games where we felt we could turn things around. And with the coaches, and that was when we would go through film, the coaches and the players, it was everybody knows that that was a game that we let get away. And that's not going to happen again in the Riley Center. I think we had solid nights from Charlon. Charlon had 23 points, 6 assists. Matt Wright had 22 points, 4 assists in that game. But I think everybody's going to be a little bit more focused because Duquesne is a team that we know we can beat. We're just ahead of them in the Atlantic 10 standings at the moment. And it's just a game right before break where hopefully most of our students will be there. I think it's going to be one of those exciting games where everybody's getting an opportunity to play.
Yeah, and of course, all these Duquesne Bonaventure games always seem like they come down to the last minute. And Duquesne certainly got Bona's attention in the last game. I look at how Soko scored his 28 points, right? 28 points? Yeah, 28 points. I look at how he scored those 28 points, and it was, I believe he was 13 for 20 from the line, free throw line. Yeah, he was 13 for 20 from the free throw line. And you got to question if that's going to happen again. Are the refs going to continue to allow a bit of a couple shady fouls on him, or are they going to continue to let him play a bit of a physical type style of play?
Yeah, I think one another thing I look at, a big stat that jumps off the box score for me was that Yusuf only had 1 rebound in that game. And Big Yusuf's going to have a big game. I think tomorrow, I think he's got a lot to prove. I think Marquise is going to come back with the vengeance. You know, Deion Wright coming off such a big game, and today is his birthday as well, so tomorrow will be a big game for him. So I think our bigs are going to be ready. So Soko, he's a very talented player, very talented scorer, but I think we're going to key in on him in this matchup, and that's realize he's the head of the monster. It goes him and then Mason, and those are the 2 players. And once we lock those 2 players down, we understand that that's going to lead us to victory.
Right, and kind of what was interesting that kind of jumped out at me for the last 2 road games was the whole offense was equal. There wasn't as much down-low play as there were in the last couple games, even though they ended up losing those last couple games. So if they do continue to go down low, it's if they're going to stay out of foul trouble, because the Bonnies certainly have the horses to compete down low with Soko, because Marquis Simmons is currently 4th in the country in field goal percentage, and Endoy's just had an incredible year. And, of course, Chris Dees and Deion Wright just provide a great spark off the bench.
Yeah, without question. And like I said, you know, we're focused because that's a game that slipped. Trying to get our first 3-game winning streak in A10. You know, Drew will be here Saturday to retire Andrew Nichols's. You know, Andrew Nichols will be here Saturday to retire his jersey, and I think, like I said, everybody understands that it's business time. You know, we're getting close to the tournament. The A10 tournaments are just right around the corner, a couple weeks. So we want to get the best possible seed, and you know, we're excited. And what I can honestly say is that, you know, I expect to win tomorrow, and I'm pretty much guaranteeing the win tomorrow because that was a game that slipped away, and no way we're gonna let that team score 83 points. When they score over 80, they have a much higher winning percentage than when they score 64 or less, I believe is the stat that we talked about yesterday in the locker room. So, like I said, it's just time to play. We know what they do. They know what we do. And, you know, our guards between Charlon and Matthew Wright coming off winning the co-player, A10 player of the week, it's gonna be a big matchup.
It's crunch time. It's just when teams need to lock down and win. And, of course, it's always harder winning the second time around when you play a conference foe. Well, thanks for coming on the show, AMA.
Hey, no problem.
Absolutely. Be sure to check out this Friday's edition of SBU TV News. AMA caught up with former St. Bonaventure guard Michael Davenport, and I visited an ice-over Good Times of Olean for a curling tournament with some great curlers and even better costumes. And thank you again for joining us for another edition of St. Bona Shootaround. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/St. Bona Shootaround to watch our episodes. We'll see you again on Saturday before the Bonnies host Rhode Island, as SBU great Andrew Nicholson will have his number retired. From the Coop Lab, I'm Chris Spiker. Enjoy the game.